What's up, everyone? This is again Sir Rai or Sir Romeo to my students, and today I'll be sharing you some proper expectations or good to know information before you start your journey as a teacher here in America. So, whatever I'll be sharing with you guys are based from my experience. Other teachers from different states may have a different opinion on what I'll be talking about today, but still, at the end of the day, this video is just gonna help you out on what can you expect when you start your job here as a teacher. Without further ado, let me begin. So I'll be talking about four different aspects. The first one is the educational system. Second is your classroom setup. Third is the kind of the students you'll be encountering here. Definitely way different from the Philippines. And the fourth one is we're going to be talking about you or me as a teacher. Now let's talk about the educational system. There are three different types of school here that you may encounter in the United States. The first is a public school, where it's also the same thing in the Philippines with the Department of Education. The second one is a charter school, where I am in right now. A charter school is like a semi-private, semi-public, where we also get support from the government, but not entirely. It's mainly owned by businesses or corporation or company. And the last one is a private school, which is basically and primarily owned by church or by a specific religion. Well, we are also following K to 12 curriculum. We have the elementary, we have the junior high or the middle school, starting from 6, 7, and 8. Some schools would have 7 and 8 only. And then you also have high school, which will be starting from the ninth graders until the 12th graders. I'm teaching science for middle school, where my 7th and 8th graders will have a mix of physics, biology, chemistry, and earth science in every quarter. So it's basically the same thing in the Philippines. Well, if you are working in the Philippines, especially in a public school, well, you have a lot of forms to fill up, like SF1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until the 10, or whatever. You have a lot of things to work on, like portfolio. You have a lot of seminars to attend to. You need to get certificates because you want to be promoted. If you come here in the United States, you will never have these kind of forms. Everything is basically just a click away. Their grading system, the scores, you only need to go to their website, whatever platform they're using. You just input their score and boom, it's gonna be automatically computed. You don't need a calculator for that. But checking of papers is a bit of a problem here because you cannot ask your students to check your papers, unlike in the Philippines, where you have your secretary or anyone who would be so glad to check your papers, and all you have to do is just write it or record it. Well, I say it's way easier here. It's actually chill here compared back home, because you only need to focus on what you're going to be doing for the next day, what kind of teaching strategies, uh, the worksheets. Well, actually, worksheets here are called learning packets. What else? So basically, that's it. Other schools, they have their own platform, so you don't have to make your own lesson plan. You just need to pull it out from that. You don't have to find your own worksheets. You need to pull it out from that platform, and boom, you're good to go. Well, what else did I miss out about the educational system? If there's anything, just let me know. I'll be more than glad to answer that for you. Number two is the classroom setup. Well, I was really amazed because my director picked me up from the airport and we went straight ahead to the school, and he showed me where my classroom is. When I opened it, it's fully air conditioned. I'm not actually used to that because back in the Philippines, in a public school, the only classrooms which are fully air conditioned would be the faculty room, the library, or the computer laboratory. Other than that, your classroom would be an open air, and you would hear tricycles, jeepneys coming in and out. You would hear them. You would basically hear everything while you're having your discussion. But here, it's chill. It's so nice. And it would make you more excited to teach because there's no need for you to fan or get like that small electric fan to make sure that you don't sweat a lot every day. Since you have your own classroom, there is no need for you to go to different classes because the students will be doing that for you. They don't have a block section, so they have different schedules from time to time. So they'll be the one to go to different classrooms, and all you have to do is just wait for them, get the attendance, and start your classes. And your classroom, to point it out, you have your own projector, you have your own table, like a good table, and you have expensive looking chairs. Pretty much everything is in there. If you are teaching in a private school in the Philippines, you may have this, but I'm actually talking from someone's point of view who used to work in a public school in the Philippines versus the kind of the classroom here in the United States. Well, I'm not saying anything bad about a classroom without an aircon or without all these resources. I'm just saying that this is the difference between working in our country and also working here. There are some pros and cons, and end of the day, the only thing you have to do is to make sure that you do your job as a teacher to your students. Going back and talking about resources, in my school, I think in every school, we have our own photocopying machine, and there's no need for me to photocopy it outside of the school. I remember back in the Philippines, we used to have like a specific kind of person where we'll be giving all the worksheets that needs to be photocopied, and we get a little profit from that. But that's what I'm actually missing. But here, all you have to do is just photocopy your own and give it to your students every day, so it's easier. It's really easier. Yun nga lang, walang kita. Third, very important, is your students. I mean, I'm just saying, don't compare your students here and your students back in the Philippines because there's a huge difference. How should I put this? For the students in the Philippines, the moment they see a teacher in uniform, they would immediately respect them and say, "Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir." But here, it's not the same, okay? Sometimes this is just me talking, okay? Sometimes you need to earn their respect before they would give it back to you. Does that make sense? Well, students here are very direct to the point. I mean, most of them, because that's the kind of environment that they got used to. They would tell it to you if they don't like it or if they like it. Unlike in the Philippines, probably out of respect, that's why students are having a hard time or a little scared with communicating and speaking up in front of their teachers. Well, you have to realize that the group of students you'll be handling here will be coming from a mix of culture, nationalities, backgrounds, colors, and traditions. So you need to make sure you know that. Number 4 is about me or you as a teacher. One thing that I want to tell you first before we start this is if you plan to teach here, you cannot be overly sensitive here. I'm telling you, you cannot, because the kind of students you'll be dealing with, they may say mean stuff to you. They don't really mean it, but do not take it personal. Never take it personal. I remember before coming here, my friends used to tell me to be very strict. I tried it for a couple of weeks. Guess what? It didn't work. And I don't think it's the kind of strategy that I should be doing for me to pull off my everyday classroom discussion. I mean, for me, if you're so strict with your students here, sometimes they don't buy it. Sometimes they don't, well, most of the time they don't like it. They would always see you as a villain or someone who's controlling. They tend to get suffocated easily, so that's why I changed my teaching strategy. That's why I banked on building good relationship and rapport with my students, and I can say that it was a success. I have very good relationship with my students, and it's easier now to tell them to stop, to be quiet, to cooperate, to listen, to pay attention, because that kind of relationship that I have with my students is very genuine, and they feel it, and they know that the reason why I'm doing these things is because I want them to learn and I want them to succeed in whatever way possible. But if you want to build good relationship with your students, you also need to set that boundary so that they know that you are still their teacher and that they are still your students. Students here tend to get bored easily, so it is your job as a teacher to make sure that your class is very lively and engaging. For me, I make sure I incorporate technology in my everyday classes. Example, Kahoot.com, MergeCube. I also use QR codes for some group activities, and that way there will be some differentiation with your strategy. They would see that you're making effort, and they would be a little bit more excited to learn stuff compared to you doing just the traditional way of teaching. To be honest, there'll be times that you will ask and question yourself if you are an effective teacher or if you're doing your job right. But again, don't take it personal, because you'll just end up getting stressed about something that you can't really control, I think, because that's how the classroom is set up here. It's not like in the Philippines where when you stand in front of your class, everyone's going to be paying attention. It's way different here. So just do whatever you can as a teacher. And I think if you're doing it right, slowly, gradually, your students will appreciate that. Confidence is very important. You need to be confident. The moment you stand in front of your students, they can be intimidating sometimes, especially if it's your first time going out and handling foreign students. It could be really intimidating, but just be confident, be firm. Some of the students will test your character, but be firm, don't snap, okay? Just show them that you mean business and that you're there to help them out. Lastly, this is very important. If you want to teach here in the United States, as early as now, you have to start improving your communication in the English language. You don't have to learn American accent, because accent is something that you cannot learn overnight. You need practice for that. What I'm saying is you need to be able to communicate with your students properly. There'll be times that you will get intimidated by your students' accent, especially if it's your first time dealing with foreign students. There's no harm in asking them to repeat what they say, but you cannot always ask them to repeat what they say. You need to find a way to improve yourself, like watch English movies, practice yourself speaking in English in front of the mirror, ask people to correct your grammar, so that by the end of the day you will not having a hard time communicating with your students. So if you're ready with all this, then start applying right now. April and May is the hiring season. Schools will probably start outsourcing teachers from the Philippines, so you need to hurry up, collect and collect, then select. The more interviews that you can get, the better, so that by the end of the day, the only problem you will have is which offer I'm gonna be signing out. Next time, I'll probably talk about interview tips and suggestions. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. You have a great day and good luck, and see you here. Bye.